Hey, it's Zach, and I'm back with another episode of Elevate and Accelerate. And today I'm going to be talking to none other than Guy Colangelo. He is the integrator for those of you that are familiar with EOS system, and also our chief marketing officer. He comes with a whole lot of experience. And so, last episode we talked about how to build your celebrity brand as it related to media, and today we're going to be talking all about marketing and how to do that in a way that creates your celebrity expert brand and your authority. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hey, Guy, so happy to have you on the show today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, look, before we jump into the nuts and bolts of marketing, which I know you're an expert in, let's kind of let our audience know a little bit of how you got into marketing and when this all started for you. I'm pretty sure it was back when you were a teenager, right?
Yeah, I was actually 16 when I first started my marketing career, unintentionally and unknowingly at the time. But that was when I wrote my first sales letter for selling transportation services to college students, really to their parents, the college students. But that's when it all started, and it was great because you write a sales letter, you get a list, you send it out, and then all of a sudden the checks come back with registration forms, and you get off the school bus because I was still taking the bus, and then you have to figure out, oh, how do I actually cash all these checks? I had to go create a bank account. Like, it's all, when you're 16, it's kind of cool. So I did that for a while and through college, until I graduated college and got into the hotel business. I ended up taking a marketing management job at a company that provided marketing and distribution and sales for independent hotels. So, we were basically that arm for independent hotels. My specific role was focused around our partnership marketing. So that's basically leveraging airlines' lists to market to their frequent flyers to stay at our hotels. And then from there, I went to into the construction industry, and we offered subscription for access to public and private projects that contractors can bid on in the commercial space. So I was there for a while. We did a lot of direct response marketing there. A lot of advertising, a lot of Google ads and email marketing and SEO, and all the normal stuff today, except that was 2008. And then from there, I went into the car business and worked for a direct response advertising agency that catered to car dealers to grow their dealerships. And oversaw. I was on the executive team there and oversaw the entire acquisitions team, so sales, marketing, and SDRs and stuff like that, to bring on members, and also oversaw the creative team that was responsible for putting out the marketing for the clients also. And then I got into a company where I was working with law firm owners, and now I'm here where I work with basically all different types of entrepreneurs, financial advisors or brokers, or speakers, or just general business, small business owners. Like, it's a very wide range, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I know, just being somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about marketing, right? I know enough to be dangerous. But one of the things that I've seen over the years, and the number of clients that I've worked with and that the agency worked with, is there's so many, what seems to be so many different schools of thought out there about what marketing is and what it should be and what it should look like. And I don't think there's any reason to kind of jump into all of those details, but within the framework that we created, we've really sort of boiled it down to the three most important elements, right? And kind of going back to our business trifecta model. And just to kind of remind everybody, last week we talked about the business trifecta being media, marketing, and PR. So we talked about media in the last episode, and today we're talking about marketing. And each one of these levers has, three accelerators, the things that bring it together and take it to fruition. And so when we're talking about marketing, no matter what school of thought you're coming to, really what we're talking about is leads that turn into opportunities that then turn into sales, right? And so those are the three accelerators that we sort of talk about. But in
Mhm.
your experience, right, of all the different industries that you've worked in, your own sales letters, and now in this one that works with a lot of different industries, what's been your experience as far as, maybe on one hand, the misconception of what might be out there and what's attainable for a small to medium business owner? And then on the other hand of, what you've seen that's really worked across industries.
Well, the common theme across all industries is really just the fundamentals. The process of getting a lead and nurturing it, and until they're ready to create an opportunity for the sales team, and then work through that type of process to convert into an actual paying client. And all the fundamentals of marketing, when it comes to your list and your copy, and the credibility and believability of around what you're offering, and creating urgency, and like all that stuff is all fundamentals.
Hmm.
And I always tell people like that's why I was able to jump from industry to industry, is because of the fundamentals. And a lot of times, a lot of especially entrepreneurs who know they need to do marketing, but they don't understand the fundamentals nor have the time to learn it.
Hmm.
So they end up doing what's currently working right now from a tactical standpoint, and basically just copying everything that's working until everyone starts doing it, and then it stops working, and then they don't know what to do. So that's a common problem. Like, well, I've been doing these ads for so long, all of a sudden it stopped working. Now what? Well, they don't know,
Hmm.
right? So that's basically the common theme, I would say, across all the industries, is the process and the fundamentals are all the same. It's just how you apply them to your business specifically is a little different.
That's cool. And so I know that being like, having worked with financial advisors, right? And then real estate agents. And while the approach to how they get leads is very different, it's really, like you said, fundamentally the same.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I know that we've really discovered and have been working on and teaching our clients over time is not just the power of a personal brand and what that does for your marketing. But if you could talk a little bit more about really the impact or where in that process of those fundamentals that having a celebrity expert brand and being seen as that go-to authority really has the greatest impact.
Yeah. So leads come from all different places. A lot of business owners are used to referrals and repeat clients. Those are still leads. Those are some of the best leads because they already know who you are, right? Because they already understand your brand. They're already bought into it. As far as repeat business goes, referrals, someone vouched for you. When somebody say, hey, you should go work with Zach, or you should go work with this financial advisor, he did a great job for me, and blah blah blah. Like, they're basically creating, communicating your brand for you in that referral process. So they already come in trusting you, right? And I think what gets mistaken is that businesses see the repeat and referral business, and then they go and venture out to get more leads because they want to grow, but it doesn't work the same way. And that's because of a missing piece, which is the trust factor of working with you. It's trust. The trust is earned in every micro step of the process.
Hmm.
So basically, when if someone if it comes to your website, they're subconsciously asking, for the first time, they're subconsciously asking, can I trust this person, or can
Hmm.
I trust this company? If you're advertising and then they see, you're offering a download, let's just say, well, do I trust that this information is good or valuable? And do I trust them with my information, right?
Yeah.
And so the the easiest way to earn trust is to make promises and deliver on the promise. Basically, like that's how trust is earned or broken, is just through promises. And when you add in a layer of your personal brand into the process from start to finish, especially in lead conversion, but from start to finish, it just makes everything better. And because you're answering that trust question that they have without they're not coming to your website or your landing page where saying, can I trust this person? But that's just subconsciously a check they're trying to put in one of their boxes without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So when you present something with a little bit more authority and credibility, they're more likely to trust you.
Yeah, and I had that conversation with somebody just the other day where just by having that level of credibility and trust, being seen as that celebrity expert, it transformed the conversations that they were
Right.
having with the people who were calling their office.
Right.
So actually, he's going to be a guest on the show. In a couple of episodes or so. So I'm really excited to have him on here. And so I'll let him share that story. But he was talking about how uh, people call his office and they get him on the phone, and because of the personal brand that he's been able to build of being a best-selling author, being on TV or a contributor in even local publications and things like that, that when he answers the phone, they're like, wait, is this the Carlos? Like, that's really you? And he's like, yeah, what do you mean? And it took him a
Yeah.
while to even get used to it.
Yeah.
But now the conversation, as you say too, is less about, okay, tell me about why I should trust you, which is what they're saying subconsciously with all the questions they're asking. And now the questions that they're asking are, so what is it going to take for me to work with you? Like, I already trust you. I already see you as the
Right.
person I want to work with. I just
Yep.
want to know whether or not I'm qualified.
Yeah, yeah. If you communicate those things that in the process, then that's the effect. It's they're coming in already feeling like they know you. You're a celebrity in their eye. I mean, that's why it's celebrity branding. But like, and that's a beautiful thing because you're no longer convincing, right? You don't have to sell people in a way. You just they want to work. They're trying to sell themselves to work for you to work with them. So you kind of flip the script on that a little bit, which is great. But you have to communicate the stuff. Like if you've done work to build up your brand, but you're not communicating it, well, then you might as well not have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
and that's where the marketing comes in. Like you have to communicate these things. Whether it's on your website or social media or in your ads or whatever. Like you have to communicate the brand, and then you'll notice the numbers get better. Instead of your percentage of conversion from step to step will rise, just because more people are wanting to continue, essentially, without changing anything else.
So, from your perspective, right, and tell me if I'm accurate about this because I've been talking about it, but I probably should have checked with an expert first. So I'll do it now for everybody else as well. But
Right.
um, when I'm working with clients and talking with business owners, a lot of times they're doing armchair metrics, right? Because they're really good at what they do, but by and large, they're not the CMO of their business. They do the marketing, or maybe they have a team or somebody that they work with. But the way that they most businesses and business owners seem to measure the success of their marketing is by the number of leads that they get. And while on one hand, I'm guessing that that's probably true. I mean, you've got to have an X number of leads. What I feel like I've been seeing is, uh, okay, so they say, let's say there's 1,000 people who visit my website, and I know of that 1,000 people, that'll end up being one or two sales, right? And so in order for me to get two or four sales, I've got to have 2,000 people that visit my
Hmm.
website, and that's kind of the math that they do. In order to double their business, they've got to double their leads.
That's
um,
one way. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's probably one way to do it. What's kind of your perspective about that? Is that really the best way to do it, especially if you've got a limited budget, or what are your
It's
thoughts?
it's a way, of course. It's probably the more expensive way.
Hmm.
If I mean the numbers you use, which are all hypothetical, but let's just say for every 1,000 people to become a client, So therefore, if I get 2,000 people to the website, I could get 4 clients. Which, if everything else remains the same, that's true. Or I always look at it from an optimization standpoint. Whereas I have 998 people who didn't work with me. Why? Right? Like, that's a bigger opportunity, is just converting more of what you already have, so you don't have to spend more on advertising, basically. And then once you have an optimal model, then and you want to continue to scale up, and you have everything, you have basically the model in place, then sure, yeah, get more traffic to the site, and but now when you go and pay for the extra 1,000 people to your site, you're getting more than two from that extra 1,000, which makes the returns on that extra ad spend even better,
Hmm.
because you've done the work to convert people through the process at an optimal rate, essentially.
So, as a business owner, then, I know I'm being inundated from marketing companies all the time. And so you've got digital agencies and advertising agencies, and you've got social media marketing, and you've got direct response, and so you have all this stuff, and they all do. I'm sure they wouldn't have a business if they didn't otherwise. They all do a good job at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But how do I, as a business owner, not just start chasing shiny objects? I mean, is there anything? And I know it's hard to say without knowing people's particular
Yeah.
situation, but like, is there something that I should be looking for to kind of gauge whether or not this is going to be right for me? And then, is there a certain amount of time that I need to dedicate to that in order to know whether or not it has even been effective?
Well,
And I'm
that's a
putting you
loaded
on the spot.
question. Like, how to stay away from shiny objects. Well, you really got to educate yourself. I mean, I think from what I've seen, entrepreneurs and business owners are, for the most part, visionaries, and visionaries, for the most part, like, are attracted to shiny objects. They're always looking for the next best thing. Um, Having somebody that could balance that is a good thing, or just knowing how to ask the right questions for that shiny object, or just doing what's tried and true. Like, just because it's not new doesn't mean it's not effective. It may not feel as cutting edge, or or I don't know, like, that. It's that staying away from shiny objects is tough. I always it's just my personality, but I always love doing what everybody's not doing.
Hmm.
So if everyone's chasing SEO, well, then I don't want to be there. I want to be where my competitors are not, and let's go there. um, or do something that only I could do,
Hmm.
and focus on that, like, to really give you a competitive edge. Like, that's because really, ultimately, what you're doing is, once you have the traffic, you're giving them a reason to choose you over everybody else, and once you give that reason, everyone else is irrelevant,
Hmm.
right? So that's something to focus on too, which basically comes down to the personal brand, because no one could copy your story. No one could copy your brand. So that's a big component of that puzzle. Not just what you do, but who you are.
Hmm. That's an interesting point, and one that we've obviously talked about a lot on this podcast is how, your story, your unique experiences, you are your brand, and how that
Mm-hmm.
is the one thing that nobody can duplicate. So, and kind of taking that then and sort of switching gears, as a celebrity expert business owner, what are the ways in which we could do marketing different? I know social media is really a buzzword for a lot of people right now. They know they should be doing social media.
Yeah.
Um, they know that they need to at least be doing something, but they're not sure what or how, or what it should look like, or what platforms they should be on, and all these kinds of
Yeah.
other
So
questions.
when it comes to social media, there's two fundamental groupings. There's influencers, which that's their business, right? Their business is to build up millions of followers so they could sell themselves to advertisers or whoever, because they have the audience that people want to be in front of.
Hmm.
That's that model. typically that's not a good strategic fit. Strategy is all about alignment. So when it comes to your marketing strategy or social media strategy, specifically here, now we're talking about this, the influencer strategy is not a really good fit for a business owner, unless if your business is in the business of influence, of selling your millions of followers, which it's probably not. If you're a financial advisor or whatever, that's not really what this is about. So then, therefore, then social media is really just another opportunity for you to share your story and your wisdom and put that in front of people, because that's where they are. Every client, no matter the household, no matter the demographic, you know 30,000 a year, 3 million a year, I know them all, and they all use social media. Like, it is a mass market, it is a mass media now, today. Sure, certain demographics are more predominant in certain types of social media, but they're in all of it. Like, everything. Like, the newest generation always wants to do what the older generation's not doing. So, but now I'm on TikTok, right? Like, I didn't like when TikTok first came out. I'm like, this is stupid. This is a waste of time. Now all of a sudden it's like, you get hooked, and now there's content creators creating content for my demographic, for my age or whatever. Now you're hooked, and now that I'm in there, it's an opportunity for business owners to be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for who see me as their demographic. So the social media strategy that's better for the typical business owner entrepreneur is really just about sharing your wisdom, sharing your story. Like, it's not about attract using your organic social media posts to find new leads. It's really about, hey, I just found you. What and then they, one thing, as soon as somebody finds you, the first thing they do is they go everywhere. They check out your website. Is this legit? Like, if you don't have a website, that's a problem. First, like, who doesn't have a website today, right? Well, 10 years ago, you couldn't say the same thing about social media, but now it's the same category. It's like, who doesn't have social media? Like, if you don't have social media going, at least some activity, valuable activity, not just activity, but valuable activity, then it's like, well, is this company even alive and legit? Like it's evolved. Social media has evolved into being, a prerequisite, almost just like a website is today. Like, every business, as soon as they start, they know, I need a website. It may not be the best website, probably won't be because they're first, but they need a website.
Yep.
Even if they know it's only 5 people who are coming to it, but those 5 people who are my potential clients need to see a website there, because they're going to not work with me if I don't have one. And social media we're really right there on the cusp of that being a prerequisite for businesses today.
Mm.
Now, which channels you're in, what type of content you're sharing, or formats and stuff like that, like, that all really just depends on the business. But it's getting to a point where you gotta be in all of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's becoming.
And as a consumer too, like, here's one thing that I despise. Like, I hate my feed getting filled up with people that are just posting bullshit. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Like,
you can say whatever you want.
it's my
Some people may
podcast,
not
right?
like it, but you can say whatever you want.
I mean, I'm just so, like, it's just like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for this, like, inspirational quote that has nothing to do with your business or anything to
Yeah.
do with you. And, like, it's
Well,
almost
yeah.
just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
This goes back to marketing fundamentals. So, like, how do you apply the marketing fundamentals into social media for business today, right? Like, giving value is a fundamental, right? You always should be giving value, and typically you're going to give value before you take anything. Like your prospect or your client. Well, your prospect is really going to want, to get value from you before they decide to invest in you, essentially.
Yeah.
So when it comes to what you're posting in social media, that's the question. What's valuable? Well, what's valuable is basically what's in here, like what we're doing now. Like what I have to offer of value is my marketing, wisdom, and if you're a financial advisor, I'm sure there's a lot of things you could talk about to give a lot of value to people who are considering hiring a financial advisor, or even changing to a different financial advisor, right? Well, they got to be able to trust you, right? So when they
Mhm.
when they Google or whatever financial advisor, and they see your website, and then they see links to your social media, Now they're going deeper and deeper and deeper, and they're more and more invested in you. And they're probably going to choose you over somebody else who doesn't have a website or a good website. I mean, who doesn't have a website now? But who doesn't have a website or doesn't have social media? Like it creates this emotional connection. Like that's really what social media allows you to do, is to give the value of your wisdom, but also create that emotional connection at the same time. Where a website, you can do that. It's just a little bit harder. Um, but social media provides that platform to be able to do that. And then once they've engaged with you on social media, now even if they follow you or not, your stuff is going to start, within the next 30 days. The way these things work is they're more likely to see it again, or maybe they do follow you. But that's like the thing. It's like, what are you measuring, in social media? And if you're an influencer, yeah, you're measuring how many followers you have, and how many views your videos got, like a lot of stuff. What you're measuring in business is how many of your prospects did saw your social media stuff. Like, did you tell them about it? Did you point them there, and things like that. Whether they liked it or they followed you or not, it really doesn't matter. This is about you know giving them that experience, and you're not going to see that in the numbers.
Hmm.
um, and so that's like a lot of times I think people focus on, in terms of whether social media is successful or not, is how many followers they get,
Yep.
which I get. I mean, it's very natural to think that way, because that's like the one thing an account could get, is like number of followers. But think about it. If you're I guess we're just using financial advisor as an example today, but if you're a financial advisor and you have 1 million followers because you're posting goofy content to get the 1 million followers, like, how much of that is actually your potential client? Like, probably
Right.
hardly any, if any. Right?
Right.
I'd rather have 100 quality followers than 1,000 or 100,000 people who are following you, because you're doing the content that is, in my opinion, stupid, but it's what gets the engagement, right? But it's for the wrong reason. It's not aligned.
Yep. Yeah, and that's when we built out this model, and in the last episode too, we had I've got some questions and a scale that people can rate themselves on, and so as you're talking about that, it reminded me of that. And so, for you guys listening, like, here's a question that you can kind of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and I'll pull out the really important part of this, and that's simply this: like, when we're talking about leads, right? That was one of the accelerators. Leads, opportunities, and sales are the three things that kind of build out your marketing system. We're talking about, and the question being, how well do you consistently fill your pipeline with qualified leads? Right.
Right.
And so on that scale of 1 to 10, one is like, I don't even get any leads. And then 10 is I have a proven and scalable system that produces
Yeah.
qualified leads. And that's
Well,
that's
you
the
mentioned
key
it.
part right there,
You,
right?
yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Like, a lot of times people measure the number of leads as the success of a campaign. And what I constantly remind, even my team, but what I constantly remind everybody is, it's not about the number of leads. It's about how many of those leads ultimately buy.
Yep.
Because, if whatever your targeted, marketing cost per acquisition is, it's up to you. So we'll just use simple math. So let's just say I'm willing to pay $1,000 to get a client. Well, if I get one lead that costs me $1,000, and every one of those one leads becomes a client, I'm good. If I
Mhm.
get 10 leads and it costs me $100 for each of those leads, and one out of those 10 leads becomes a client, I'm good, because I'm spending $1,000 to get a client. If I get, if I do $5 leads, now that's 200 leads, right? And as long as one of them becomes a client, I'm good. Now, 200 leads creates a different problem. It's like, well, now you need a team to work those leads, or you need a bulk your marketing system to automate that stuff. But um, so your costs, when you go into the volume game, your costs actually increase, because you have to do other things. Like you could handle one or two leads a month, right? Can you handle 200 leads a month every single month? Like, as a business owner, no. Like, now you got to hire people, and then now all of a sudden your cost per acquisition is not aligned, and then that blows that number out the water. So it's a balance. I'm not. I would prefer to have, like, 20 $50 leads, and I would, $10 $100 leads, just
Right.
because. they're probably, and from my experience, they're probably going to be of around the same quality. And there's more opportunities to get more clients and bring down that cost per acquisition, down from $1,000. But it's also manageable and stuff like that. But it really, I mean, it just depends on what your business you're in and how big your market is and all that good stuff.
And so for those that are listening, right, and you've got a business, you have a system for how you get leads, even if it's just referrals, right? Or you've got a marketing system. You
Right.
have something in place because you've been running a business. For those of you that don't, you're finding what it takes for you to be able to do that, and hopefully part of this has been helpful in sort of realizing, what's the best strategy and the best way to really use your limited resources to attract the right
Yeah.
leads. And
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. It it
There you go.
it just made me realize like a really important thing, because when you have repeat and referral business, your the trust is already built in, right? So, and we talked about this earlier, but what I forgot to mention is that as you get traffic or prospects or leads, however you want to call them, further away from that trust goes away,
Hmm.
and it creates a void. And check your Google Analytics. Like, if all your business is coming from referrals, but you're getting 1,000 people a month to your website, you're not getting 1,000 referrals a month. So obviously you have a problem, right? Because the only business you're getting is referrals, but you're having 1,000 people come to your website. So what's missing? Well, the trust factor, right? So this is really why that dumping your personal brand into that experience, creates it. Because a lot of times, someone say, hey, I want to, I talk to an agency to get more leads, and they work on getting more leads, but then all of a sudden they don't get the clients. Well, yeah, because you're missing a key component that you have built in naturally from referrals.
Yeah, that's thanks for sharing that too, because that is really important. Where people, they work with agencies who do a good job. They get them the leads, but like they don't get them the conversions, and that's what they're really hoping for. But the reality is
Right.
is that they show up to your website, or they see this, the article or whatever it is, and there's no trust. There's no reason why I should pick you
Hmm.
over somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that's great, which really
Yeah.
leads us
Yeah.
to
Look
the
at you. Look at the analytics,
yeah,
right? So if you're getting 1,000 people, but you're not getting any clients, you don't have a traffic problem. You have a client conversion problem,
exactly.
right? Now, once you start converting those clients, then you have a traffic problem again. You go back to getting more traffic. Go hire an SEO company. Go hire an ad agency, digital ad agency or whatever, and but at least you figured it out. Like, because a lot of times people just dump more money into advertising, not getting anything back, and then now they say advertising doesn't work.
Mhm.
Advertising works as long as you have everything in place to for when you do get the traffic.
And that really brings us into this next point, right? The opportunities. So here's the question to you, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how this works. But to leverage the most out of your qualified leads, how efficient are you at converting these leads into appointments or sales
Yeah.
opportunities, right? And on the scale of 1 to 10, one is you're not getting any appointments, like you just talked about, 1,000 people, but it's not turning into anything. And then
Right.
10 is your calendar is full, obviously, of sales opportunities because you got that figured out. But so let's say it's not a traffic problem anymore, and really where the greatest impact is for the businesses that we've worked with and the people that we've helped, is in that conversion process, right? Not in the traffic so much as, but the number of people who then decide to raise their hand and let them know
Mm.
that they're interested. And the foundation of all of that is you as the business owner being the one who is sharing your wisdom with the audience, so that it, what most people don't know and what they can't measure is the impact that a brand has on someone's decision, because you
Right.
don't know what's going on in their mind. You don't know the connection that they're making. I use my wife as a great example of this, because she will find somebody, Instagram or whatever. She'll go to their website, and then she just digests their content for like X amount of
Yeah.
time, whatever it is. And so they become the person that she goes to for valuable information, in addition to probably others. But I can tell you more often than not, it always leads to hey, I want to buy this program because it's going to help me really dig in a little bit deeper and it's right for me. And I've got all their information. And I'm now aligned with them and this person and they are the authority. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to buy their product. I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to hop on their thing. And they have no idea that my wife existed until that moment. Right.
Right.
And so that, how do you measure that? Right. Like you almost can't, other than they do nothing different with their marketing, but they're getting a higher conversion rate. They see it
Yeah.
in the bottom line of people buying their services when they don't do stuff. So, how as a business owner, how do we accomplish that? Let's say we've got the website, but let's say in social media, for example, since we've been
Yeah.
talking about
It's actually simple. Well, it's just the person knows what they're doing. Um, so it's one of the first aha moments I, that I think someone needs to understand is that, or just accepting if they don't understand, just accept this fact. The more time someone spends with you, the more likely they are to do business with you. There is
Dunbar's
a
law.
relationship. Yeah, there is a relationship between how much time someone's invests into you, and then the likelihood of them, you know, buying with you. And usually, the higher the price point, the more time required. So, so if all you're doing is getting leads and then not doing anything to nurture them and have them give them opportunity to spend time with you, and I don't mean like this, like spend time with you. I mean that's one way, but in a one-to-many fashion where they see your social posts, they see your YouTube videos, they see your latest blog posts like that. These are all the little things that add up to investing more time to to likelihood to work with you or buy from you. And and typically it's just through content, and it's through like educational content, education based content, because that's the value. And the more you the more you give, the more likelihood they are to, one, reach out to you, and two, do business with you. And don't be afraid of you know giving too much, because most people won't do anything with it. What they want to do is understand it and then hire you to do it for them, because that's you could teach somebody, if you're a financial advisor, because we'll stick on this, you could teach somebody how to you know manage your assets, and when to buy stocks or bonds, or like you could educate to the nth degree on that stuff. The average person who's going to be your client is not going to do anything with it because they don't want to do the work. But now they
Right.
trust that you know what you're doing. So that's my guy or that's my gal. Like that's all, like, so the more you share, the more vulnerable you are with your story, and your downs and your ups, and then the more vulnerable you are to share, what you the knowledge, even if you think like, oh, I don't want to give it away.
Hmm.
Like, you can always take the video down, but just give it away. Like it's not going to hurt you. Actually, it only helps you.
Well, and that is something that I know we've talked a lot about in our agency, and how we've shifted how we do certain things, not only for our own company, but also for the people that we work with, and
Yeah,
for our clients. And that's your social media, as we were talking about earlier, and what I said that I really didn't like from people is just this generic content. Because when
yeah,
we're living in an age where our prospects are being inundated with information, especially if you're in a saturated market and all these other things, like how do you stand out? Well, a celebrity expert brand is one way, and you do that. But once they find you and they see you and they digest your content, like social media is no different. Like you shouldn't
right.
just be posting something for the sake of posting
It's
something.
just another medium. Your website's a medium,
Yeah.
Facebook's a medium, mail, snail mail is a medium, radio is a medium, TV. Like, these are all just opportunities to share.
And it's to share your story and your wisdom in your voice,
Yeah,
right?
because you got
That's the
because if
key.
yeah, I mean, not having any presence is a problem, but having if if somebody interacts with your content for the first time and say, well, that was just a waste of time, well, they're never gonna do it again,
You lost
which
trust.
means they're gone, right? you
Yep.
lost you lost your opportunity, and they're gone. You lost your trust, right? Exactly. So the two biggest ways of losing trust is to not offer in the first place, and when you do offer it, offer something that's just completely irrelevant and not valuable. Like, I don't need to know it's National Pizza Day. Like I got 20 other randos telling me that it's National Pizza Day because that's the best they could do in social media. Oh, let me talk about National Pizza Day. Like,
Yeah.
no, talk about what you do. Like, talk about what can you share that can benefit them.
Yeah.
And some people, it'll just be one thing. They're like, man, you said this, and then I knew how to work with you. Some people might say, I've been following you. We had a client come in, I think a couple months ago, sign up for something for the first time, and she told us, I've been on your list for 10 years, and I've been following you, and now I finally feel like now is the right
Wow.
time, right?
Wow.
So like you get that, and now she's a great client, and she's very involved, and she's doing a lot of different things to grow a brand, but she's ready.
Mm.
Without that, now that's just her. Not everybody's gonna be 10 years, but my point is there's gonna be a wide range of people who are ready right now and who are ready 10 years from now, and everybody in between. As long as you show up every day and offer something of value, you'll at least have done what you could do to be there for the people who are ready. Now if you stop showing up every day, well, that and every day you don't show up is a day somebody was ready that didn't contact you because you didn't show up,
Yeah.
right? Like so frequency is a big part of this. Being frequency not only helps with relevancy, but it helps with um, you know availability, like just expanding your being there for them, like what I mean.
Well, and yeah, I do. And here's the thing to everybody who's listening to this, right? Like you're an entrepreneur, you're running a business, you don't have the time for a lot of this, right? And so it's like,
Hmm.
I don't want to be sitting here posting every single day or every other day on social media, or, even if it's once or twice a week or something. It's just, it gets pushed to the back burner because you
Yep.
have other things that you're doing, and other things that you're passionate about, and other things that you should be doing. Right. And so one of the things that we do for our clients, and that you can start doing for yourself, is repurposing. Like, again, it really needs to be in your voice. You are the face of your business. You are the one who is instilling wisdom for your
Right.
audience to digest. But like, you could record a video and then shorten, take snackable videos, we call them, but you should short clips of that video to use them on social media. You can,
Yeah.
take quotes from what you said in that, and a transcript, and it's a blog and it's an article. So like, you have from that one piece of content a whole lot of content that you can use over and over and over again. But here's the key: it's in your voice. Like, that's what people want to hear. They do
Yep.
business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so you are the person, not somebody else who's, just finding something and Googling it on the internet and then writing it for you and posting it on your social media because it seems cool, like Pizza Day. Or,
Right.
real estate agents. I'm talking to you with all of those, look at this terrible renovation, it just posts all the time. It's like, how's that
Yeah.
relevant? Like, like, talk to me about how you're good at negotiating for your clients. Like, show me
Yeah.
how, you get houses sold before they're even listed. Like, show me something of value that I would want to
Show
work
me
with
you
you
under,
as my real
show me
estate
you
agent.
understand. Like I think when somebody hires a real estate agent, they want somebody. If you're selling a home, they want somebody that understands the home and the reasons that you're selling and things like that. And if you're buying, they definitely want you to understand. It's all emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, like it's not like budget is certainly a thing, but like just show that you care, you know,
Yeah.
like tell stories, not just tell your story. I mean, tell your story, but tell your other clients' stories. I mean, that's one of the biggest things you could do is just like, hey, I just helped so and so find a home, and you're never going to believe this. Like they came to me and they didn't think they could get what they wanted based on their budget, but after sitting down with them and realizing X, Y, and Z, it's like, oh, okay, they were just looking in the wrong place. Like, so here's what we did. Like just showing them understand. It's like somebody that can help.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just another agent, and it's very transactional.
It's noise.
And and
Yeah.
and, and you're gonna have clients that you're not gonna like to work with. You're gonna work harder for each client, and it's just it's the fastest way to burn out.
Mhm. Well, look, we're almost up on time here, so I'm going to leave everybody with one more question, and then I've got one more question for you too. So, we've talked about leads, we talked about them being quality leads and the right leads, and then how you convert them along the way to a sales
Mhm.
opportunity. And then ultimately, it's probably the easiest thing that you can do as an entrepreneur, because you have your business and this is what you know better than anything else. And that's actually turning them into a client. But here's the question that you can kind of rate yourself on. Do the conversations that you have with your qualified prospects consistently and predictably convert into sales? And most people that I work with, they feel pretty confident about that. But one would be, nobody's really buying anything right now. And then 10 is, I can tell you how many sales I'm going to get at the beginning of each month, because of that framework that you have in place with your predictable revenue streams and a functioning sales system and everything like that. So Guy, here's kind of my last question to you. Um, and I'm springing it on you. I know that. But here's a question. Of everything that we talked about, and of all the knowledge and wisdom and stuff that you've been able to glean over the last, couple of decades in doing this, what would you say is probably one of the most important or fundamental things that as a business owner I should always be returning to in my mind?
Um, in terms of marketing, um,
Or anything, but yeah, in terms of marketing.
um, I think the most important thing is to just start.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of times people are afraid because they don't know what they're going to do, or am I going to lose $1,000 or whatever? But that's all temporary stuff. Like, you have to start every, you wake up a year from now and you're like, man, I wish, now a year from now you just started doing all the social media and your clients are growing, all this other stuff, right? What would have happened if you started today, which would be a year before that, right? So it's like there's a lot of value in time, like the time value of money, like time is the biggest currency, and it is exponential over time. And so the sooner you start, the better off you're going to be, and just know, like, it's okay to start without it being the best it could be, and it gets better over time. As long as your strategy is in place, and your is aligned, I should say. Your first video you do is going to be probably your worst video, and that's okay. But you're going to have a first video.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
if you go back
I
and
mean,
listen to my first episode, or even the first couple of ones, a lot of likes and ums and uhs, and
yeah,
just wasn't good.
your first video, unless if you just never do it, you're going to have a first video. You might as well have that first video now versus 5 years from now, because you just wasted 5 years then,
Mm,
essentially.
great
So,
point.
just
Well,
start.
thanks so much for just sharing your information, your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise, and for joining me on the show today.
Yeah, I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And everybody who to listen to this episode today, as always, if you like what you heard, if you want to hear more, please go ahead, like, subscribe. Help us to reach more people, more business owners and entrepreneurs, and people who are looking to elevate their brand so that they can accelerate their journey to success. And I look forward to talking with you next time. Thanks.